Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Now, this is going to be more of a man's world type of video, but also, relating to politics and stuff like that. If women, you do not like this, then please tune off the video because you probably won't like what I have to say here in a lot of other instances. So you have been warned. What we have here is that we have Bill Maher roast Barbie movie for being preachy, man-hating, and a zombie lie. What we have here is that we have Bill Maher saying, okay, Barbie, I was hoping it wouldn't be a preachy, man-hating, and a zombie lie. Alas, it was all three. What is a zombie lie? Something that is never was true, but certain people refuse to stop saying it. Tax cuts for the rich, increases revenues, e.g., or something that used to be true, but no longer is. But certain people pretend it's still true. Barbie is this kind of movie, kind of zombie lie. Spoiler alert, Barbie fights the patriarchy, right up to the metal board who created her, consisting of 12 white men. The patriarchy, except there's a metal board in real life, and it's 7 men and 5 women. Okay, not perfect, even Steven, but not the way the board in the movie, which takes place in 2023, is portrayed and not really any longer deserving of the word patriarchy. Yes, there was one, and then remnants of it remain, but this movie is so 2000 late. At one point, the Barbies have to win over the Kens, and they are told to do it by pretending to act helpless and not know how to do stuff. Helen Gurley Brown called she wants her premise back. Yes, that was a thing. I saw Barbie with a woman in her 30s who said, I don't know a single woman of any age who would act like that today. And again, I know, how would I know about the patriarchy? I am a man. That argument is so old and so silly. Exactly, because obviously the patriarchy exists. Now, ladies, I don't know about you if you are continuing to watch. The patriarchy is not really a thing in the modern day society. I hate to break it to you and burst your bubble, but it's just not the reality. However, I do believe that the patriarchy does exist in some other third world countries to where, yeah, maybe your rights are not so great. Like, Saudi Arabia and some of those other Middle Eastern countries to where, like, yeah, you don't really have very many rights. But, again, that's not what it's like in the first world countries like Canada, US, Europe, etc. To where that's not really the case. You guys have all the rights and abilities in the world, and there is no patriarchy. If anything, there is a more of a matriarchy. I think it would be the correct way of doing it, where women are taking more control than there is of men. Yes, there are more men billionaires in the world, but again, women are catching up, and fortunately for you ladies, you have more rights than men do in a lot of cases. That's just the reality you're going to have to face. Of course, none of us can know exactly what others go through life, but I can see the world around me and I can read data. The real metal board is pretty close mirror of the country, where 45% of the 449 board seats filled last year in Fortune 500 companies were women. Truth is, I'm not the one who's out of step. I'm living in the year we're living in. Barbie is fun, I enjoyed it. But it is a zombie lie. And people who don't go along with zombie lies did not take some red pill. Just staying true to current reality. Let's live in the year we're living in. I can. So what we're going to do here is that we have the biggest issue of what I'll be going over in this story. Is that I took my 15-year-old son to see Barbie because I'm worried he could become a Ken. It says here, in this great letters here, saying, as his 51-year-old mother, I'm profoundly aware that my son is merely 6 years away from having more rights in America than I do. And women, ladies, please announce and tell me what rights, in the comment section down below, that women have that men don't have, or what men have that women don't have. Please tell me what rights that you guys don't have compared to men. I really want to know. Because the reality is that if you think you don't have rights in this country, then please take yourself to China. Take yourself to, I don't know, Saudi Arabia or the Middle East or any of these other third world countries. Please go to South Africa and witness the horrifying rights that you would have that would be in these other countries. And if you're going to say just because we go to other countries have worse issues than us, doesn't mean that, that this country does have issues. Well, I would agree with that statement, but again, you have to lay down actual rights that you have, that you don't have here. I really need to know. Because at this point in time, you guys are spouting things that you're just ignorant of, or you just want specific rights just for yourselves and no rights for other people, or specifically men. That's just the way it is. Then you expose yourself to being a sexist. So, I mean, at that point, we go into this. Barbie is the movie I needed my 15-year-old son to see this summer. The kid has his learner's permit for driving, medalled in a couple of swim events at a regional meet, recently went on in his first date, and soon will be embarking on his sophomore year in high school. He's on his way to becoming Ken on a Venice beach as played by Ryan Gosling. As his 51-year-old mother, I'm painfully aware that my son is merely 6 years away from having more rights in America than I do. He will soon obtain a driver's license and later get a voter's registration due to the generosity of his grandparents and our ability to save money, and he has a modest college fund. Okay, that doesn't sound like he has more rights than you. That doesn't sound like he has more rights at all. You can still have a driver's license. You can still vote as of currently. So the 19th has not been repealed, so you still have the same right. So you can still go to college. You can still have the ability to save money. So there's nothing that's wrong there. Let's continue. Once he reaches the age when he can legally consume alcohol and he has a college degree, he might arrive on a relatively level playing field with Gosling, minus the fame and the eight-pack abs. He will have bodily autonomy, a privilege I lost in June 2022 when six Supreme Court justices voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. Wrong again. The whole situation with the Roe v. Wade thing was you go to certain states now if you want to have an abortion. If you so desire to kill a child and not take any responsibility for yourself, then so be it. That's the problem here. You're ignorant on what actually Roe v. Wade did because you're a fool. You don't seem to understand what Roe v. Wade was. All it did was push it back to the states. The states have the ability to do so. And no, guys don't have body autonomy, by the way. They don't. Women can automatically get pregnant and then have the complete choice to choose to eradicate your child. The guy has no say in the matter. So, no, guys don't have the right to body autonomy. Because, again, what body autonomy do we have that would, supersede women, right? Because if a guy can get a woman pregnant, and then the woman has every right to, commit paternity fraud, and then automatically have the guy pay for child support because the child, because it's not really his child, but they can paternity fraud, and then you have the ability to kill your child, and the guy has no say in the matter, regardless of the situation. So really, who has body autonomy really? I don't think the guy does. It sounds like a lot of women do. Undoubtedly, those who seek to uphold the current status quo in American society and applaud this SCOTUS decision will label my actions indoctrination and woke. Well, because it is. But, I guess, be an idiot for all I care. I'll happily admit they are. To borrow an African proverb, if the wise elders of the village don't teach the children, the children will certainly do so. I've been inculcating my son against hate for years. On the morning of November 9th, 2016, my then 8-year-old son found me sobbing on our family room couch in a suburb outside of Washington, D.C. Right then and there, I have gave him a gargantuan task that amounted to don't sit by and let people bully others. Well, that should be normal for anybody in society, right? Don't let anybody bully any others. This is that kind of seems kind of normal, really. I implored him to use his privilege to help. And what privilege does he have? Again, you're not you're not saying anything about privilege. Maybe when I go through this article, you actually will say what privilege he has. It was a huge ask and perhaps an inappropriate burden for a kid that age, but I had already put some scaffold in place. Up to that point, I tried to model his behavior by doing whatever I could and using my own privileges to help those around me. I drove an immigrant mother to a local community college for classes and helped her with English. As a family, we participated in Help the Homeless whilst through our local community service organization. So far, that's not really awful. For years, we purchased backpacks for kids in transitional housing each August and packed Thanksgiving boxes with groceries and gift cards for those less fortunate each November. We visited a mosque in Virginia for its open house at a time when backlash against Muslims was beating up again. During Donald Trump's presidency, I advocated on Capitol Hill for increasing immigration quotas for refugees, especially for Afghans and others who had assisted U.S. troops in exchange for our protection. Despite these efforts and a new administration, we live in a country where white nationalism doesn't exist really in this country anymore. Yes, there are some people that are racist, but I don't think it's going to be able to with that. It's on the rise, which is not. And as are anti-Semitic incidents and LGBTQ legislation, yeah, there is no anti-LGBTQ legislation. What it is with the LGBTQ, just to let you know, a lot of it has to do with not allowing trans kids to be what's the word? not to get these surgeries at a young age or get puberty blockers at a young age. You are allowed to do any of these surgeries at any age, regardless of the situation, or not at any age, but at age 18, which, is the adult age in this country. So as long as you're 18, you can do whatever the hell you want. But when it comes to kids, we're not allowing you to transition children. So I'm going to assume that you may be a child grabber, because I don't think that we should be allowing children at all to be transitioned into something that is irreversible. We live in a country where women do not control our own bodies. Well, you do, but again, I already went through that. In 2023, I am fighting to raise a son who doesn't become the next Kyle Rittenhouse, brought down on Elon Musk. Of course, next Kyle Rittenhouse was attacked, but of course, you're an idiot to not understand what actually happened there. You're actual moron, but I digress from a far-left website such as this, and a far-left moron such as yourself. Movies like books invite dialogue. As a former high school English teacher, I wish all teachers would assign their students to watch Barbie in place of summer reading selections like The Grapes of Wrath. Since it's too late to amend summer assignments, I would encourage all my friends and acquaintances to see the movie with their teenagers. I wouldn't, because it's a man feminist-hating movie. And that's what you are. You are a man-hating feminist. You hate men, so you want your son to also hate men and hate himself, which would deem him to going down in a spiral of man hating himself and would not be good for his psyche. You actually want to destroy your son's life by him actually hating himself, because that's what this movie is. Analyzing the Barbie film is a foreign to my son, as reading Shakespeare's comedy, A Midsummer Night's Dream, was here in ninth grade. It requires a guide who can explain that Kent's inferior position in Barbie Land is a mere inversion of the patriarchal American society we live in today. Again, tell me where we have any type of patriarchal society in America. You're not telling me anything. You're just saying words and trying to prove a point when you're not proving anything. I was thrilled to be given the chance to provide that guidance. The experience of sitting in the theater with my son and watching Ken as stereotypical Barbie played by Margot Robbie, if she wants to have a sleepover, offer with me the opportunity to point out that consent is important and needs to be honored. Every guy understands that consent needs to be honored. This is not something that is going around. You're not seeing men raping or doing horrible acts to women in broad daylight. This does not happen. This is not an ongoing thing. This is shunned in society in most countries. Maybe, possibly even third world countries, it's shunned. So you saying that, that consent is not a thing, or men completely ignore consent, is a complete flat-out lie. Most guys don't even want to associate with women because the consent thing has gone so completely insane that we're not even talking to women anymore. Because we don't want to be feared of going to jail because some woman got into her feels or whatever, that she doesn't like a guy, so therefore if she doesn't like a guy, she could say, oh, he did this to me, he raped me, so therefore the men get in trouble. And women are now facing the repercussions of, maybe facing the repercussions of men not talking to them in the workplace. Because men don't want to be accused of sexual assault. We discussed how the frustration Ken feels at being left out of fun in Barbie Land mirrors how women and other minorities feel in America today. Together, we laughed about Barbie and Ken's trip to the real world in the Meadow corporate headquarters where only men sit in the bedroom. I assured my son that it's okay to feel slighted and want to be in charge. It's understandable that after his return, Ken leads a revolt and tries to rewrite the Constitution to put Ken in power. I get it. I'm pretty mad there are only 4 female Supreme Court justices and a female vice president. There's only 4 Supreme Court justices. How is that a problem? Do you want a majority of female Supreme Court justices? This is showing on how you are a sexist female, alright? This is the reality. You are a sexist person. You don't like men. Because the Supreme Court can only have a max of around, I would say, 6 Supreme Court justices. So if anything, or maybe max 8. Actually, no, let me correct this. How many Supreme Courts are there? There's 9. There's 9. So there's almost half of the Supreme Court justices that are women. Do you want more? How many more do you want? And a female vice president, which is a complete idiot, by the way. Nobody likes Kamala Harris. That's just plain and simple. Nobody likes that woman. So, again, you have to explain to me on why you would want more Supreme Court female justices in here other than just being a sexist person. I don't understand. I don't want more women in Supreme Court Justice. What I want is more capable women and more capable men to be in our Supreme Court Justice. Not because based on their sex, not because based on anything else, but their own capabilities, their own credentials, and the best people for the job. I don't care whether they're male or female, but of course for you, for a sexist such as yourself, you want more females in there for whatever apparent reason. To be voiceless or outnumbered is valuable to be vulnerable, and worse, too often it means being unable to see it in a world where you don't have the same rights or assets or opportunities as others. Again, tell us what those rights you don't have are. You're just saying things and not clearing things up for people. I acknowledge my own substantial privileges as white, cisgender, heterosexual, educated women, while I confess to him that I feel guilty about how my status gives advantages. Being human is complicated, but as Barbie points out, we all get a choice in what do we do with our lives. We can decide what we do with our privilege, and if we have, again, this is all dribble. This is all bloody dribble. The fact of the matter is that this woman is a sexist. This person hates men, and this is what you expect from the Huffington Post, honestly. But the mere fact is that you're setting up your son to fail. You're setting up your son to hate himself and to not respect himself. He should be able to respect himself, such as every other woman should be able to respect themselves as well. But the mere fact is that what infuriates me the most is that you are saying things without portraying reality. You're saying things that are not true. You're not even explaining exactly what the patriarchy is, why there is patriarchy, how you have more rights, how men have more rights than women. You're not explaining this. You have to explain these things in order to understand them. And you don't know what you're saying. You're parroting some things that you just don't understand. And it's really annoying, and it's disgusting that you would put this onto your children, your males. It's absolutely disgusting, and I can't understand it at all. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, take care.